Now, the Kentucky State Fair made Louisville its permanent home in 1907. Around the same time, another spot for entertainment had just opened its gates by the riverfront's west end. The spelling makes you want to call it Fontaine Ferry, but those who grew up with the park know it as Fontaine Ferry, a spot many of you on Facebook Live asked me to revisit from your childhood.
A lot of us never forget the joy an amusement park brings as a child.
You have entered here about, I would guess, and soon there would have been the penny arcade. They had little machines that were either free or perhaps, I guess you had to put a penny in them.
Historian Tom Owens remembers when the west end of Market Street led you to more than 50 rides and attractions. Fontaine Ferry.
Just the classic early 20th century amusement park with shooting galleries, with wooden slides,
Wooden coasters, race cars, a pool, and themed areas like Hilarity Hall or Gypsy Village.
Fontaine Ferry thought of every way possible to lure you to come.
From special promotions to quirky contests like the oldest set of twins or the fattest man or woman.
Now, Fontaine Ferry was a destination, but it wasn't a destination for everyone.
From 1905 to 1964, African Americans were not allowed.
I have read the testimony and heard the testimony of African Americans in our community who had their faces pressed up against the fence at Fontaine Ferry, seeing there's fun every minute inside the park, but it was closed to them.
The park lasted 5 years, open to everyone.
Continued to be some racial unrest, demonstrations, and sometimes vandalism.
Owen says it's not clear who exactly sparked it, but a group of young people started a racially motivated riot on opening day of 1969, creating damage like this throughout the park. Ghost Town on the River opened up in its place in 1972.
I had my sweet 16th birthday party here. It was like when the skating ring was there.
The fun wouldn't last. Ghost Town on the River shut down 3 years later and turned into River Glen Park. A year later, it burned down and was abandoned. The city took over in 1981.
You can't go home again. And in the sense that Fontaine Ferry was a creature of its time.
A place from Marvina's childhood she now enjoys as an adult. It's the landmark she uses when giving directions to her house.
Fontaine Ferry is something that everybody remembers.
Now, I do want to thank Jerry Rice of Louisville and Tim Young Productions for some of that video and the images we used. There's a lot more of it in a documentary titled Fontaine Ferry, A Time of Innocence, and you can get it at any Louisville Public Library. But definitely, it was very neat. As me coming from, not being from Louisville, just seeing the history of it and just the way it was during segregation and then after, it was just very interesting to do.
Certainly the backstory of what happened there, how it closed, and really what it meant to the west end of Louisville has always been fascinating.
Who knew? Like now it's part of the Shawnee Sports Complex and it's just a great, nice park, but it had a carousel, a big fair, pretty awesome.
Yeah, it does have a very storied history.